Welcome in, guys. This is JE Live, and this is the last time I am going to break down this game. I've talked about this game on so many different shows. I am exhausted from doing so, but I mean, it's exciting. It's a great week. I've really tried to put my all forward, with this. I appreciate everyone that's invited me on their shows. It's been a lot of fun. Love talking ball, so I'll always do it. But I mean, ask Coach here. I think I think he's watched all of my shows, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like I've talked about this game so much, but we will be doing our preview, our breakdown, and our predictions. If you guys don't already know, I've done a final score prediction on every one of the shows. So if you missed that, the final score, I do have 27-17 Rams. But I'm going to break down, I think, both sides of the ball, where I think things could go wrong for the Rams, where things could go right, where things could go wrong for the 49ers, and where things could go right. Why I believe that, at the end of the day, you could be looking at a blowout by the Rams. You could be looking at a blowout by the 49ers. I think both of these teams play a style of game where if they take over in their way and they're able to run their, type of, pace, it could completely change the complexion of the game. So, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about some funny stats. One that I found really funny is that Cooper Kupp is 12-1. The Rams are 12-1 when Cooper Kupp catches a touchdown, which it still sounds kind of weird to me. And then the other one is Deebo Samuel, when he gets at least 5 carries. He's like 9. The 49ers are like 9 or I think 9 or 10-1. It's pretty incredible, actually, that that's the case. But there's also one out there that when Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't throw a touchdown, they're 9-2, they're 3-0 in the playoffs. There's also, at the end of the day, the Rams are 4-6 all time in NFC title games, but since 2000 they're 3-0. The Niners are 7-9. In the last 3, I believe they're 2-1. I might have posted 1 and 2 by accident on Twitter, so I apologize for that. So, there's a lot. There's so much. I got to thank Sports Grid for having me on today. Just really cool having that spot on Sirius XM and being a regular there. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you can go over to Sports Grid. They play it 24/7, kind of a replay. So I'm sure I'll show up at some point in that. I appreciate I was on the Fantasy Sports Radio. Just so much. I really do appreciate people reaching out. The Irish NFL show. I was just on that. I'll be on Nuts and Bolts Sports tonight, talking about both games at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can find that on Twitter. I will be posting that. But I mean, our coverage isn't over. I mean, we have this, and then we have a Downtown Rams podcast I'll be recording pretty soon with Alexis. So that is going on. Then I'll have Alexis on tomorrow in a live capacity, which I'm excited about. Doing a JE Live with her, talking about both games. And I mean, we're going to keep the ball rolling. I mean, you guys can tell, and there's no secret. I'm absolutely exhausted. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But I love doing this. I absolutely love doing this, and I mean, I cannot wait for this game, and I really do appreciate the Rams fans, one, that have supported me all throughout the year, the Niners fans that have supported me. Like, you guys can say what you want about Coach, but he's been here every single stream, and he is a diehard 49ers fan, but this is not just a Rams channel. This has a heavy spin on Rams football. It is the 85% Rams channel, but the fact that we get, people like Coach that come in here and are willing to, have conversation, and the different 49ers fans and, the Colts fans and, fans all over, it's just really cool. So, can't stress that enough. Definitely, don't throw any hate their way. They're really cool, in that regard, and I appreciate their support. So let's dive into it, right? We're going to talk entirely from the Rams perspective right now, and then I'll get into the 49ers. But first off, we'll go from offense to defense to special teams. Look at the offense and how I feel like they can really attack this 49ers team. I think when you look at their defense and the way the 49ers are playing, right now anyway, The 49ers have been doing such a great job at forcing pressure up the middle. For interior pressure, and I mean, I don't know how many times you guys have heard me say this, but interior pressure is key. You look at, being able to put interior pressure on Joe Burrow against the Titans, it resulted in 9 sacks. You look at even the last game the Rams had against the 49ers when they were able to put interior pressure in, right in the middle and really push Matthew Stafford side to side. It worked out for them. So now here we are. Interior pressure is absolutely key. You have DJ Jones of the 49ers who's playing as good a football as anybody at this point in the season. You have Armstead, you have Bosa, you have Ebukam coming in, you have Willis, you have Omenahue. They do have, these players that I definitely am concerned about in the front 4, front 5, whatever you want to call them. Even in the front 7, because their linebackers are great. So, right off the rip, the Rams are going to have to try and see if they can establish the run. I wouldn't mind if they right off the rip don't, but they're going to have to be able to establish the run in order to make it easier to win this football game. And I do expect Cam Akers to take 60 to 70% of the carries in this one. I would imagine Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson, if he is indeed back, will, split the rest of those carries and potentially, other snaps. I mean, they both work well in pass protection. So I think because of that, you can have them out there on third down. I like Sony Michel personally more in short area yardage, and especially I like him at the goal line more than Cam because he's just succeeded more in that regard. I'd say even Henderson. Don't let that stature fool you. Darrell Henderson has been really good in short yardage situations. You wouldn't believe it, but he really has, and he's punched his way into the end zone, has a bunch of touchdowns on the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if those two are sharing carries, sharing snaps, at the bottom, of that chart. But it's going to be Cam Akers' football. I know everyone that's worried about him with the fumbles, but one, that's not a very common thing. It's not like Cam Akers fumbles every game, and he doesn't fumble twice like that. His biggest issue to me, besides, pass protection, which he has to get better at, and I don't fault him because that's something he wasn't great at in college. He didn't really have a huge opportunity to work on it because this offseason he gets hurt, and now he's trying to rehab to get back. So he wasn't really able to work on his game, which is why I'm excited for this upcoming season for Cam Akers. It could be a huge one because he'll be able to go back to the drawing board and be like, all right, I got to get better here, here, and here, and he's not rehabbing. So that's a big thing there when you think about that. So starting with Cam Akers there, and then the other thing is at the goal line. He's got to find he has to have a nose for the football, a nose for the goal line. And I just don't feel like, as of right now, he does not have that. It's not like Todd Gurley where, the biggest knock on Todd Gurley when he was dominating was that he's getting these easy, goal line runs, so his touchdowns don't mean anything. Can't disagree more. And you could see why, even if he's getting, you have a goal line back that gets 11 touchdowns on the season. If they're getting 11 touchdowns, they're doing something right. It is not easy to run when you only have 1 yard to go and everyone knows that you're going to get the football. So, I think that's something I want to see Akers get better at. I think it's something Sony's good at. I think it's something that Darrell's good at. Even something that Stafford has been used at, in the last, few weeks. So wouldn't be surprised if anybody's out there that wants to, bet on anytime touchdown score on, FanDuel Sportsbook, DraftKings, Caesars, what have you. I'm not going to lie, man. I would not mind throwing that down, like $1 down on, Matthew Stafford win like $15 if he hits. Maybe a little bit more because he's had QB sneaks and they've had to rely on him, down in distance. So, I do think that is that's something to keep in mind there. So just looking at the run game, you want to get that going. Okay, first and foremost, you want to be able to establish the run. But if you cannot do that, you want to soften them up. With some nice little body blows. Eventually, those really wear out a defense, just like they wear out a boxer. They may not be the sexiest play in a box, in a boxing match. I mean, really, if you're just hitting them in the body, it doesn't look amazing. It's not, a key haymaker. The mouthpiece isn't going to fly out necessarily. But if you continue to hit that body all game long or all match long, it really takes a toll on somebody, and you could see them, and they could get knocked out because of how many times you hit them in the body. It's the same thing with football. When you're not able to get the run going, you can hit them with the soft, the running back slip screens, the things that, really were such a staple in Sean McVay's 2017 offense and Todd Gurley getting him involved and making him the engine of the offense. They don't do it enough. Quite simply put, they don't do it enough with Cam. They don't do it enough with Darrell, and they don't do it enough, period. So I don't want Sony Michel out there in receiving situations. I think he's a very poor running back, as a receiver, which is fine. Some guys have their weaknesses and their strengths, and that's just not his strength. I feel like it's great for Darrell, but he is absolutely the best. When it comes to receiving, it is Cam Akers, and that is where I think if you can't get him going, you can almost pretend you're running the football by having those short passes and start getting those things working, because that's what the Rams did against Tampa. It softens up the defense. And right off the bat, if you get some first downs on those, you're not running the ball, but you're still able to win on those screens. It's really going to make everybody come up, and when they come up, you can throw over their head. And so that's what brings me to my next point. And you could still stick with the run game here. And we've already mentioned, if you guys have watched, my interview with Blaine Grisack and my interview with Sosa Kremenjas, is very simple. Be creative. There's no reason why you can't use a Brandon Powell. There's no reason why you can't use Van Jefferson Odell. There's no reason why you can't use those jet sweeps, because the jet sweeps are what's going to keep the defense honest. And when you're looking at how to beat a team that is so athletically gifted at linebacker and really could cover all this, both sidelines and the middle and all of that, this is how you do it. You beat them by getting them out of position. You run those jet motions after you've established the run with the jet sweeps. You're keeping the defense honest. You're saying, we'll run this. You're basically holding a gun to their head and saying, we're going to do this. We shown you we're going to do this, and if you don't try to sell out to stop it, then we're just going to keep doing it and gashing you. Well, here's the thing, guys. When you do that over and over and over again, yeah, you become predictable. But when you mix it in, it is so dangerous, and it's actually a big reason why not Sean McVay, but the Rams offense had so much success with Todd Gurley his rookie year, because in 2015, if you guys forgot, they used Tavon Austin on those jet motions, and what that does is it either freezes the linebacker or it leans them one way and you can hit them the other way. And I think that's a big thing here for the Rams. It's very much in play. You get a 15-yard run from Van Jefferson last week. That's the only time you used it. It went for a first down. I don't know why you're not doing more of that. So I feel like Sean McVay somewhat has been holding back a little bit. Mark, thank you so much for the donation. They do have a chance 100%. But I'm getting to that. I have them winning, of course. But the way I see it is that we've already seen that these guys are athletic enough to, hit the corner and run, down the sideline. We saw it, at the end of the day, with a Van Jefferson. We've seen it before. We'll see it again probably. But I want to see that utilized more, because I want that to open up the run game. I think if you use a jet motion to go this way, and the linebacker's going to lean this way because he thinks the guy's going to get it, and then he doesn't get it, and then all of a sudden the running back is going this way, so instead of going that way, you hit him with the run this way, or you even go up the middle. It took that running back, even if it's a split second where he hesitated, it worked, because here's the thing. These guys are incredible athletes, and to keep them on their toes like that and leaning the wrong way, you can hit them and gash them, and that's the thing that the Rams really have to do. They have to mix that in there. And then on top of that, what that does is it sets up, the double fake, where you're talking about a play action to the handoff and then a play action, a guy coming around. We've seen that a lot. The Rams have been designing those plays more, where a guy comes around as on an end around, and they fake the handoff and then they throw it. And I think that's something that's going to be in play there. I wouldn't really go with the wide receiver bubble screens, but I really like the one screen that they roll with Tyler Higbee. Look, Higbee to me is an X factor in this game without a doubt, because of what he can do, against the 49ers. He had 2 touchdowns the last time he played this team. He's hard to match up against because, they have a Kittle, you have a Higbee, a guy that's 6'5", 250 plus pounds, and uses his body well to shield and box out defenders like he's a power forward / center in the NBA. I mean, he does a great job of getting positioning. He gets great hand placement on the football, and he does a really nice job and has the wherewithal to keep his feet in bounds. We've seen it over and over and over again. It's why you want to rely on him in the red zone. It's why, again, you bettors out there, if you want an anytime touchdown scorer, I'd definitely go with Tyler Higbee. I think he's going to be a big part of this offense. It's why we've seen over and over again down the stretch, the last 5, 6, 7 games of the year, he's just continued to have more usage and consistency. So I think they're definitely going to want to get him involved there. Had his season high receptions rating, when he went to Baltimore. And in that 20-19 game, they needed him. So I definitely think that, he's the X factor there. Obviously, you have Cooper Kupp. You try to bracket Cooper, it's probably going to open up opportunities for an Odell, for a Van, for Tyler Higbee, for Cam Akers, for Darrell Henderson. I think, Darrell Henderson is an interesting one, as well as Cam Akers, because they could literally run the same thing mirrored, essentially, with the running back, those wheel routes, because I think those wheel routes is really where I think Cam Akers, they want to get him involved. But let's not forget, against the Giants, they got, Darrell Henderson isolated on that one-on-one down the sideline with Tay Crowder. They loved the matchup. Stafford threw the ball, and it was the back pylon over the shoulder end zone catch to Darrell Henderson. That kind of was the go-ahead touchdown that really started to put the momentum on the plate there. So I think that they'll use him as well in that regard. There's just a lot of different places they can go. And, when you have a guy like Stafford who's not afraid to throw to, certain guys on the roster, obviously you could say that, Aaron Rodgers at times was afraid to throw to certain guys on the roster, didn't trust them. I mean, we already know that Matthew Stafford will throw to anybody. He just threw a touchdown to start the game to Kendall Blanton last week. I mean, it is definitely an option there, and I think it just opens up the playbook even more. You look at the way he can move defenders and corners off the ball and things like that. It's just impressive what you have in Matthew Stafford. It really is, and I can't stress it enough. He is absolutely he's going to have a good game. I really do believe that. When he's needed to come through, when they've needed him to come through, he's done that down the stretch. And so I think really what they need him to do is not play hero ball. And if they get the run game going, then you're probably in a really good shape where you don't have to worry about him having to play hero ball, period. But he can do that. And so I think that's something to keep in mind there. I did see in the comment section, once again, Mark, thank you so much for donating. How come they don't test Deebo for steroids? I don't know. I don't know. I think the Odell thing, though, he wasn't drug tested recently. I know that came out recently. I think it was it was an earlier drug test. I think he brought up that he was drug tested. I don't think he was drug tested after that game. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's how it went down. So yeah, on that. So I'm bringing up the injury report now because, like you guys just said, Noteboom is well, they're saying that Noteboom is doubtful, which pretty much, if anybody who's ever watched football knows that doubtful normally means that they're not playing. So yeah, on Thursday, you had Joe Noteboom, did not practice, chest injury. Greg Gaines, full participant with a toe, he's going to play. Van Jefferson's going to play, limited participant with a knee injury. Full participant was Buddy Howell with a hamstring. He's a special teams contributor, so he's definitely somebody to keep in mind there. Then you have Taylor Rapp, limited participation with concussion. Andrew Whitworth, full participation with the knee. It looks like Whitworth is probably going to have to go at left tackle. And John Wolford's dealing with an illness, so the backup quarterback there did not practice on Thursday. Over on the Thursday side for the Niners, full participation from Nick Bosa and Alex Mack. They had limited participation due to a knee with Elijah Mitchell. I'm not expecting any of these guys to miss this game. Ambry Thomas is going to be back, I think, from that knee. He was a full participant. The ankle injury with Jeff Wilson Jr., he's kind of fallen out of favor of a guy that they really go to, because, I mean, when Eli Mitchell's healthy and Deebo's there, those are really the two running backs they use. Deebo is a wide receiver, but they use him as a running back. So I don't know if they'll push Jeffrey Wilson to play, but if they do, then, he's there. Trent Williams, that ankle's not 100%. I can tell you that right now. If he's not practicing, to me, it sure feels like if he's not practicing, then he's not going to be 100%, and that might be an opportunity for the Rams to, put Von Miller on him. And if Von Miller can, have a game, I mean, that's going to be a problem. He's played so well down the stretch. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, with the right thumb injury, which I guess it's fine because, he's looked all right. I mean, I don't think, that wasn't like an injury-based performance last week. I just feel like that's Garoppolo. He has his moments. Sometimes he plays well. I mean, I remember as soon as I said that Jimmy Garoppolo, should stop getting slander, and he's been playing so well. He went on Thursday Night Football and stunk it up against the Titans. So, I mean, he has his moments where he does play well. He has his moments where he doesn't. So that's one of those things there. I'm just trying to get today's practice up because I know it's only 4:30 here, but I don't know. I just definitely want to see if there's anything. I'm not seeing anything on that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything from the Rams side, so I don't know where you saw Joe Noteboom was. Maybe Jordan Rodriguez. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything. Okay. Whitworth and Ernest Jones will be able to play Sunday. Noteboom is doubtful. Henderson, Nee, and Rapp are likely going to be listed as questionable. Okay. Jefferson, I said, not Henderson. I don't know about Henderson. I mean, they haven't really announced him or Sebastian Joseph Day, so I don't know. I have no idea where that's going to go, but definitely something to keep in mind here. I think when you look at the Niners, I think what they want to do is they obviously, and I touched base with Coach about this. Coach and I were talking, about that, but really what it comes down to is the Niners really want to rush for. They want to get pressure on Stafford. They don't want to blitz. They don't want to put Stafford in position to succeed. They don't want to make it easy on him, to pick who is open and things like that. So I think they want to rush forward. They want to play zone, and they want to find a way to beat this Rams team without having to rush more than 4. I think that would be their key. The way you stop that, of course, you get some good offensive line protection. Like I said, Stafford has decent mobility. He's not a running quarterback, but, as long as he gets out of the way, harm's way, and, can do his thing where he does like to, shed a tackle here and there, and he gets rid of the ball quickly. I mean, this is another thing, when he doesn't have anything there, he will take a sack. And I believe I was on a show where they said he leads the league in most sacks when on third down taken out of field goal range. Like, I don't even know how they found that stat, so props to them. But, I just feel like when you think about that, that is very important. And the Rams are going to need points. All bets are off. I mean, they need anything. So, if they, Stafford is taking those sacks and taking them out of field goal range, and, I understand coverage sacks, absolutely, but you can't be running backwards 9 yards and taking that sack. I want to see him throw it away more, and I thought he started to do that last week. He's never been somebody that was able to throw it away because essentially when he was on the field in Detroit, it was, if I throw it away, they get the ball back. If I don't throw it away, I have a chance to put us in a position to maybe come back in this game, which he's done more than anybody in the league since 2009, so you can't actually go against him on that point. So, I mean, that's definitely something that's curious. Now, the way I see it is I think they're going to utilize Cooper Kupp. I mean, Cooper Kupp's trying to be the first receiver in NFL history to have 100 yards against the same team 3 times in a season. That has never been done before. And, I mean, obviously, it's not very likely. This is the second time, only the second time the Rams have ever played the 49ers in the postseason. The first time the 49ers won an NFC championship game 30-3. So, I mean, this is only the second time these two teams have met in the playoffs, surprisingly. Wouldn't be surprised if it happens next year as well, because these two teams do feel like they're kind of on a track to hit each other again. But, it just kind of shows you how incredible Cooper Kupp's season has really been. He's always, always, always in play for these incredible stats that just get put out of nowhere, and you're like, I gotta say, I didn't know that was a stat, but I'm pretty interested now. I mean, they're 12-1 when he catches a touchdown. So I mean, the only loss they had was the Week 18 one, which brings me back to what I was gonna say earlier. All of I don't really look at all those streaks all the time. I know a lot of bettors do, and I do bet. Don't get me wrong. I think everyone here, a lot of people here bet. But I don't look at just those streaks. Like, I think it's silly in a sense. Not saying it's entirely always silly, but in a sense, it gets kind of silly when you're talking about, well, the Rams all time against the spread are 1-15 against the Niners or whatever. And it's like, okay, but like you're talking about the past. Like, none of those guys are on the team now. The coach is different, things like that. But at the same time, when you're looking at those streaks, like the Rams were undefeated going into halftime when leading at halftime, and they lose that game, and it all came down to that Week 18 game. You can understand how you could think maybe that was a little bit of an anomaly. I don't think the Rams would have lost that game if, let's put it this way, if the Rams were playing the Niners and the winner goes to the playoffs, I don't think the Rams would have just kind of, basically lightened up a little bit on the gas pedal. I don't think they would have, slammed on the brakes. I think that's a completely different approach. But because the Rams did already have the playoffs in the bag, I do think that maybe they didn't want it as much as the Niners, and the Niners had to have it. So I do think it's one of those anomaly situations where, maybe we don't talk about that aspect of it enough. So that's one thing I wanted to bring up. But just looking at this Rams offense, essentially, you just want to see them mix it up with the runs, whether it's a jet sweep, whether it's an inside zone, outside zone. You want to keep, mixing things up with the run, try to see if you can run this ball. And then, try the slip screens, have everybody coming at you and set up a screen pass. You got some great receivers that can block downfield. These guys can get to the second level. Whitworth is an athletic freak. Still at 40 years old, he can get down the field. So I think, they have a lot in play here that can work to their advantage if they go with those slip screens, either the tight end or the running back or even the wide receiver. I wouldn't love doing that, but I don't love the bubble screens across the field like that normally. They don't really work that well. At least that we've seen. So I do want to see those, and then I want to see the deep ball. I want to see the deep ball utilized in this game. I think you can bait the Niners enough to open up the back end of the secondary. I really do. I understand it's scary to throw deep down the field, but if it's there, I want to see, Stafford hitting that throw to Kupp that we saw last week. If it's there, I want to see Stafford hitting that throw to Jefferson that we saw to start the season. If it's there, I want to see Stafford hitting those throws. And I think Stafford is probably in position where he's not going to take chances on those deep balls where they don't have anything there, because this is a winner-take-all game to go to the Super Bowl. But if a guy gets behind the defense, then I trust Stafford to make that throw. And even if he underthrows him, I don't really care. As long as you put the ball on him and give him an opportunity, good things can happen. So, that's really where I'm seeing it here. I think, all of their short and intermediate game can really open up the deep end of the field. And don't get me wrong, the 49ers are very talented. They have a lot of players that, you have to pay in mind. And, I think Jimmy Ward is somebody, he had an interception the last game against the Rams. He's somebody to keep in mind, Ambry Thomas. But I do think that Stafford can use that ability, looking off defenders. He can really, make them pay if they, take chances. And so, I definitely am looking at this game and thinking that, the Rams have a really good chance of being able to run their offense the way they want to run it. If it wasn't for a freak fumble at the 1 yard line with Cam Akers, there's a good chance that ends up being an absolute blowout against the Bucs, and they never have any sort of life in them. So, obviously you guys know I want to see some split back formation. I don't expect it to ever be used, but you guys know I'm a big fan of that, the way the Packers use their running backs. Would love to see it with the Rams, but, like I said, I'm used to them not doing it. I'm not expecting anything there. Would just like to see them, if they have to go to the 12 personnel, maybe put out an extra offensive lineman. Would have said if Noteboom plays, I would have used Noteboom as an extra offensive lineman at times with 13. But it doesn't look like he's going to if he's doubtful, which is really unfortunate and so unfair, coming off like his best performance, the best performance of the playoffs. I mean, he was phenomenal, blocking that, that left side. But, I just think that at the end of the day, you just want to see them mix things up. And then the back end, you want them to be able to run those rub routes. And you want, Cooper Kupp, his attention to open up things for OBJ. We've seen OBJ. We've seen him really take over at the beginning of games and not really continue that takeover. Stafford hasn't thrown to him as much. They've run the ball. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, the Rams don't use OBJ consistently throughout the game. He gets off to these good spurts, and you're like, he's not going to be stopped if you continue to throw to him. And then they stop throwing to him. So, it's very intriguing to see how they'll use him as well. I feel like, you can use Tyler Higbee up the seam. You can use a shallow cross with OBJ, have Cooper Kupp, running a streak pattern down the field, and then you have like Van Jefferson running a post or something like that. You really want to get those seam busters going. I think that's a fun way to attack that cover two. Because when you're trying to throw against cover two, throwing the boundary throws, they can cut you off with those safeties. So you always have to keep that in mind, and obviously the Rams are going to. But when you have that velocity that comes out of Stafford's arm, he just throws such a he throws a fastball. Let's just call it like it is. So he throws missiles, and when he's able to throw that quickly, when you have that play that Cooper Kupp always brings, the replacement fire zone, where you're talking about the nickel dropping and the three pushing through, and then Cooper just has to beat his man and the safety of the end zone. That basically that play itself is all about Matthew Stafford getting rid of the ball immediately and getting rid of the ball before the nickel gets there. But he has to find the open man, Cooper Kupp, and he has to be able to get the ball out before the nickel hits him. That's why the nickel blitz, the fire zone blitz, it does work for quarterbacks. It just doesn't always work for Stafford, and it definitely doesn't work when you're going up against Cooper Kupp at receiver, because he'll see that and he'll run his route and he'll set himself up for a catch where now he can run for a touchdown. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of that and they try to get creative. But DeMeco Ryans, really, I think his best bet, if they want to beat the Rams, they're going to have to, push four, try to get pressure with four. If they can't get pressure with four, they might have to get very creative with that. They might have to step out of their comfort zone. They really don't like to bring the blitz with Stafford. They want him to throw into that zone coverage, and they want him to make a mistake. And that's the issue there, is that Stafford has done such a great job the last 2 weeks, and he's silenced blitzing. So if they try to blitz, I think it's going to be another one of those games where Stafford just, rips them in half. But Stafford will also take what, the defense gives him as well. So if they continue to do that, and like I've always said to you guys, there's nothing a defense can do that is 100% effective. So if you can sell out and you're going to stop the run, it's going to open up the pass. If you sell out to stop the pass, it's going to open up the run. If you don't have a lot of light boxes in there, if you do have light boxes and you don't have a lot of guys in the box, it's easier to run against that because you don't have as many guys to worry about. Whereas if you have a heavy load in the box, then all of a sudden there's got to be a guy open. You're obviously going to be in man. It's going to be harder. Easier to throw and harder. If you're a good passer, of course, they did it with Jared Goff, and it doesn't always work with every quarterback, but there's always a positive and negative reaction to everything that you can deploy on a football field. And that's what makes the sport so great, because there's no foolproof play. Everything can be beaten, and that's the thing that I can't stress enough. The Niners don't have this unstoppable defense that they run that it can't be beaten. Just like the Rams don't have this unstoppable offense that can't be beaten. Anything and everything can be beaten and will be beaten in the NFL. It's just a matter of how you respond and, honestly, how badly do you get beat? Because if it's a huge beat where you're talking the end of the game, that's different than, oh yeah, you had a wide open guy on 3rd and 10. You were going to have a touchdown if you got him and you missed him. That's a beat, but it doesn't kill you. It obviously hurts, and as a fan, it probably hurts even more watching it because it looks easier, on TV. But, in the moment, you're just like, all right, well, we'll go back, on the field and try it again. But those interceptions, those back-breaking fumbles, things like that, those are bad beats, and you don't want to get those. So, like I said, there are multiple ways to beat anything in a football game. And that's why football is so great. It's like its own science, and I think the way the Rams have, Sean McVay, deploying this offense and just the way he utilizes his running backs and wide receivers, in the receiving game, in the running game, I want to see it used more. I want to see Brandon Powell used. I think if Brandon Powell was able to be used in the running game, would open up things all over the place, because now all of a sudden he gets the ball in space, and it's just like he can set up his blocks well with his ability to return punts. And on top of it, I think he does an incredible job of he gets skinny in between in between the blocks and things like that. He can set up his blocks. He takes off. It's not any hesitation. You don't have to worry about him dancing in the backfield losing yards. You don't have to worry about him pulling a college wide receiver or whatever and running backwards. I really do trust, a guy like Brandon Powell to kind of be that difference guy if they want to use him in the offense. But again, I'm not guaranteeing they do. I just think that they're going to try to be creative on that side. Then you look at the 49ers, what they're going to want to do on their offensive side. The Rams have a great defense. They're playing very well at the right time right now. They are the number one in the league in disguising coverages, and obviously that's a nightmare for Kyle Shanahan. Garoppolo's had success against them, but when he plays his game, when he plays within the system, when he goes out of the system, that's when he turns the ball over. He's 0-2 with turnovers, since the playoffs started. So he hasn't thrown a touchdown yet. That is, of course, potentially a problem if he goes into this Rams game and they need him to play from behind. So that is something to keep in mind. And this is somebody that's guaranteeing you the way he's been playing, if he does make those poor passes to the flat, if he does throw in between three defenders and tries to fit it in there, he's going to get picked. He's going to have a turnover. And so the Rams, they're not just banking on a Garoppolo turnover, but, they're banking on, basically putting enough pressure to force that. And they're banking on putting enough pressure on the offense to, at the end of the day, if they can't, stop this, or if the offense can't get things going, the defense has them where they want them. And then it's complementary football on the other side. So, I think that's really what it comes down to there. I think when you look at the run game for the 49ers, this is going to dictate the game for me. If they can run the ball at will with, Eli Mitchell and Deebo Samuel, and say if Jeffrey Wilson does play, if they decide to just run the ball 50 times like Shanahan wants to and no one can stop them, then I can't see the Rams winning that game. Because what that does is when you run the ball like that, it keeps Stafford on the sideline, which takes him out of a rhythm, which takes the offense out of a rhythm, which tires the defense, which eats up quarters. I mean, think about it. The third quarter against the Rams and Niners in Week 18, they took 13 minutes of a 15-minute quarter in the third quarter. That is the problem, okay? That is ultimately going to be the problem. If the Rams can't stop the run, the Niners have no issue eating the clock. They're not trying to win 34-3. They're not trying to win in a big way. The 31-10 win, I've said it was an anomaly and things happened before that game. They want to win games ugly. They're just like the Titans. They're just a better version. The Titans do a really good job of making every single game, it seems like, ugly. I mean, the Niners are fine winning games 13-10. The Rams don't want to play those games. The Rams are not as physical of a football team as the Niners, and they're not consistently physical because they play more of a high-octane passing attack style offense. They are 24th in the league in rushing, and, their defense gets to the point where, they can punch you in the mouth, but they're not playing that same type of defense as the Niners. They do want to play complementary football, no doubt, but I feel like if the Rams, normally if they score at least like 27 and above, they win most of their games, and I feel good about them winning. When you're dealing with 13-10, if you told me that was the score and I didn't see the game, and you didn't tell me who won, I might assume it's the Niners. 13-10 is a Niners score. That's a game that the Niners want to play. They want to run the clock out. They want to get off the field with the win. They don't have any, they don't want to make any sort of statements through the air. And regardless of how you feel about Garoppolo, he's not Brady, he's not Rodgers, he is not Burrow, he is not Stafford, he's not Mahomes, he's not Allen. He's not throwing deep down the field. He doesn't want to throw deep down the field. He wants to take those 5 to 10 yard passes where guys are wide open coming over the middle, like a Deebo Samuel, like a Brandon Ayuk, a George Kittle. So, this is the way I see it: is that the Niners want to run the football. Obviously, if they can set up the play action passing attack, get Jimmy Garoppolo on the bootlegs, make reads easy for him. Because I'll tell you right now, Jimmy Garoppolo, whether you guys realize it or not, he has a great team around him. He's essentially a less, I would say this, he's a lesser arm-talented quarterback than Jared Goff. Like, he's basically like having Jared Goff in a sense. I think he does a better job of, when he has more time, he gets the ball away quicker. I think Goff held on to the ball too long. Garoppolo has a quicker trigger. And I think that does come from his days in New England. When he was with Tom Brady, he got his trigger. It was way quicker, when he did get an opportunity to play with the Patriots. Just getting the ball out. And that's what can combat a really good defense that gets a lot of pressure. But the thing is, really what it comes down to is that he's an NFL quarterback. So I can sit here and dog on Jimmy Garoppolo, but if the Rams can't get to him, then he's not going to have pressure. Garoppolo, you have to pressure him because if he gets pressured, he's going to crumble. You have to get him outside of the structure. If he's within Kyle Shanahan's structure, if he's within his system, he's as good as anybody within Kyle Shanahan's system because he doesn't have to throw bombs down the field like Patrick Mahomes. They don't have to play that style of game because they can make any game ugly. They have a defense that's good enough to force turnovers, good enough to force pressure, good enough to run the football. That's the thing. And so that's why Jimmy can be dangerous because when he's in his comfort zone and he doesn't have to make all those reads, he's just going to continue to hit you over the middle. And it's just going to be, death by 1,000 paper cuts. I mean, let's call it like it is. So that's my thing there. I think the Niners, that's what they want to do, at least in my opinion. But I think that, with Deebo Samuel, to just assume that the Rams are going to come out part 3 and shut him down, I don't see that happening. Good players, good players step up occasionally. Good players step up and they'll have their moments, but, they're not consistent. That's what good players lack. Great players are consistent. Great players are great when they need to be great. And that's the thing. I can't count out Deebo Samuel. I can't count out Cooper Kupp. It does not matter how much a defense game plans to stop those guys. Sometimes they just transcend the coverage. Sometimes they just transcend the talent they're going against. Sometimes they just transcend the game altogether. I mean, you guys remember what I've been saying with Deebo Samuel. He's the most dangerous player in playoffs right now because as great as Cooper Kupp is, he's not as fast as Samuel, and he's not being used as a running back. Samuel's getting the ball more than anybody, so he has more of an opportunity to break a lot of tackles. He has more of an opportunity to house one. We've already seen it. Last year, spinning out of like 3 tackles last year with the Rams. He spun out of it and ran all the way down the field for a touchdown. We've seen him end games on his own. The 49ers love him. He's very reliable as a target. He beat Dallas. He beat the Packers. I mean, here's the thing, okay? The Dallas thing, it was overturned. They did have to punt. Dallas got the ball again. He totally had the first down. I mean, let's call it like it is. But regardless, he had a great game against Dallas. He had a great game against the Packers. And I expect him to have a really good game against the Rams. And regardless of how well he plays, I think the Rams can still, win despite, Deebo Samuel playing very well. It's almost like, you remember the Super Bowl with Wade Phillips and that defense only giving up 13 points. And really, it was a 3-3 game all the way through for the most part. When you look at that game in the Super Bowl, the Rams were totally fine letting not Wes Welker. They're totally fine letting Julian Edelman catch, pass after pass after pass because they're like, all right, we'll let you get those yards. You're running out the clock. You're not able to go deep. We're not giving up the big bomb. They did down the stretch. They gave up that big play to Gronkowski. But up until that play, their defensive approach was working. That bend don't break, not allowing Julian Edelman, allowing Julian Edelman to get his yards, but not allowing the big play and not breaking for a big touchdown. I think that's something there that needs to be said is that the Rams could kind of have that same play with Deebo Samuel. You want to get him, obviously you want to get them away from the big play. And if you make your tackles, I think there's a good chance that you'll win this game because the Rams missed 19 tackles the last time they played. With the Niners, though, you want to get Jimmy, you want to get Jimmy out of harm's way. You want to have him playing in a safe space. You want to have the running game working well. The hope, on the Niners side is that Trent Williams is ready to go and he's not 80 or 70% healthy because, even 100% healthy, Trent Williams is going to be tested against Von Miller the way he's playing. But if he's 70% healthy, it could be a long day. And keep in mind that injury could, get worse as the game goes on. So that's something to keep in mind there. But, the Rams are going to, bring pressure and, they have the talent to do so. And, the hope, if you're the Niners, is that you can establish the run early and often and you don't have Jimmy Garoppolo having to make those big plays down the field. You don't have him playing from behind and you feel pretty good about yourself. And then you look over on the 49ers defensive side and again, they don't want to, the key is if they don't have to send blitzing and things like that, if they just, can win with pressure up front, then they're going to sign up for that all day. If they're able to get pressure up front without blitzing anybody, taking down Stafford, dominating the offensive line like they did the trenches in the second half in Week 18, they're probably going to win the football game because there's just not many ways you can go with the Rams if they can't protect their quarterback. Then on the special teams unit, as great as the Niners special teams has been, you have to keep in mind that the Rams have also had just as good of a special teams, if not better. The way that they have transformed their special teams down the stretch, guys like Ben Skoranek, the way that they've made tackles and, have downed the ball at the one. Johnny Hecker is punting out of his mind right now. He's really done a nice job, not getting enough credit. Then you have, Matt Gay obviously kicking the game winner last week. He's been excellent, despite that crazy fluke 48-yarder missed short because of the downforce winds. The special teams all around has been really good, especially Brandon Powell returning, who to me is an equalizer because the Rams just haven't had a return guy like Brandon Powell. And I think, likely they'll have a guy like Travis Benjamin returning on the 49ers side. And, he can make something happen, but he's not like Powell. He doesn't just take off. There's a little bit of a hesitation there. Powell just doesn't have that. So, if they get down in this game and they need a spark, I feel like Powell can be that. We did see that against the Ravens. He's definitely been, very, very interesting and a guy that can kind of be the equalizer and is, even restored my confidence in, returning because I'll tell you right now, I've never been a huge fan of returning. I just feel like they only call a flag every time. They only throw a penalty and, you end up losing yards. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, who cares? But, I don't know. I look at this game and I think that there's so many different ways it can go. I mean, there's a way it could go where the Niners dominate and win in a blowout. There's a way it could go where the Rams dominate, win in a blowout. So I'm going to go 27-17 Rams. I think their defense is going to get to Garoppolo. I think their defense, if Sebastian Joseph Day plays, is going to be able to stop the run a little bit. Obviously Deebo will have his moments, and Eli Mitchell's a good running back, but I don't think he's going to go over 100 or anything like that. And then I think really what it's going to come down to is I think the Rams are going to get off to a nice lead. Garoppolo is going to have to play from behind. I think that they can score. They'll score 2 touchdowns. But I think it'll be 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I could see a Deebo Samuel run, and all of a sudden, pump some momentum into this 49ers team. But I could also see just as much, the Niners crumbling with Garoppolo. I mean, I could see Garoppolo playing well if he's kept, without pressure. I just think the Rams are going to get pressure. I think that right now, they're in the zone. So are the Niners, but the Niners are kind of running a little bit of a different zone. No one believed in them, all of that. The Rams truly are the best team, I think, remaining. I think the 2 best teams are the Rams and Chiefs, and I think that was the way from Week 12 on. I've been saying that. And I just feel like when you have the team that can play complementary football the way the Rams did, the Rams don't win games without scoring touchdowns. The Rams don't win games that are won entirely by the special teams unit and the defense. I really feel like the way the Rams want to play this game is going to be the way they play it. And they're either going to play their game and they're going to win, or they're going to have to play the Niners game and they're going to lose. Or they're going to come out and they're still going to somehow figure out a way to play the Niners game and win. The Rams have shown you over and over and over again this season they can play any style of game. They can play rugged in Baltimore, win 20-19. They can win in spite of, turning the ball over 4 times and gifting Tom Brady, multiple upon multiple of opportunities and still win. They can win, having Stafford throw 3 interceptions in a game. But they can also, lose when Stafford plays well. They can lose, in those terms. But I just think right now, the Rams are clicking right now. Raheem Morris's defense, if he was going to fall off a cliff, I really feel like it would have been last week. The fact that they stepped up, you don't even look at the scoreboard. 27 points, that doesn't tell the full story. The offense really set them up for failure. So I'll tell you right now, the offense, we still haven't figured we still haven't seen a full game where the offense just dominates from beginning to end. I feel like the Rams have been conditioned for any moment that they will come across, and I feel like they're the team that is rare to see late in the postseason where they have some really good depth. They're banged up, but they're not as banged up as other teams could be at this point. They have some rare depth here where you're talking about a Greg Gaines and, just think about it. Greg Gaines and Nick Scott and the way Eric Weddle played last week. I mean, that's the thing, is that they're getting this contribution out of these guys. Kendall Blanton is catching touchdowns. So, I don't know. I look at this game and I see the Rams, and I've seen this so many times. I've talked about it so many times, but I really do see the Rams winning this game, not just from a fan perspective, but truly from an analytical analysis perspective. I think the Rams are the better team, and quite simply put, if they don't play well enough to win, they still have a shot, and I think they have more of a shot than the Niners do if they don't play well enough to win than the Niners do, because I think the Niners, their margin for error is it's a lot thinner than the Rams, because the Rams have a gunslinger in Matthew Stafford, that can be the equalizer, leads the league in second half passer rating, hasn't thrown an interception in the fourth quarter. He's been unbelievable in the fourth quarter. A guy that steps up in those moments is a guy that you have to feel good about moving forward. So, like I said, if Raheem Morris's defense was going to fold, it would have done so against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in Tampa. I don't think they're going to fold against Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, and I don't think they're going to fold against the run. Now, they could, and we'll find out. But I do have the Rams 27-17. I think you're going to see some good contributions out of guys like Tyler Higbee, and I think you'll see maybe a Van Jefferson or Odell deep throw. If Darrell Henderson plays, I think he adds a different element to the offense as well. I think you'll see Cam Akers utilized in the receiving game. I'm not sold on the running game. I'm hopeful that they can run the football, but I'm not sold that the Rams are going to be able to win this game by establishing the run early on. So here's the thing. If you can't establish the run early on, the thing that really put the 49ers back into the game is that Sean McVay continued to try to run the football, ironically, and could not get any sort of rhythm going, okay? If it's not there, you have a quarterback that can lead you to the victory no matter what. So it really comes down to the fact, like, if you're sitting there, you're trying to run the ball, it's just not working, you can't keep doing it. That's the definition of insanity. So I really do think that the Rams are going to go in there. They're going to play their style of football. The Rams are going to be able to do everything. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball as well as maybe some people would want, but I think it'll be enough to open up play action, to open up the bootleg, to allow, Stafford to get on the move a little bit, make some throws. And I think he'll make some impressive throws, and I think Cooper Kupp is going to get over 100 yards. And, I think Matt Gay is going to come through, probably with a field goal or a couple or whatever there. And, the Rams will end up heading over to SoFi Stadium again in 2 weeks to play the Chiefs. That's how I see it. That's how I've seen it for a minute now. And, I just think that, what it really comes down to, is the 49ers are a hell of a team, and they've really played really well down the stretch. But this is the Rams. This is the Rams' time. It really is. I mean, why not the Rams? Everyone keeps saying, why not the Niners, as if they haven't been in the NFC title game almost the most all time. They've been in 17 NFC title games if you include this one. It's not like it's unheard of. The Rams, this is their 11th. So, why not the Rams? The Rams are 3-0 the last 3 NFC title games. They knocked off New Orleans, they knocked off the Eagles, and they knocked off, they knocked off the Packers. They didn't knock off the Eagles. They knocked off the Packers, they knocked off New Orleans, and they knocked off Tampa. Why not the Rams? Who, we've been talking about as Super Bowl favorites since they got Stafford. Just saying. And remember what I said to start the postseason. I said, what if all of a sudden the guy that everybody was saying, not everybody, because I don't want to throw you guys under the bus, but what if all of a sudden the guy that a lot of people were saying, and definitely the mainstream media was saying, was the reason they could see the Rams losing early on in the Super Bowl is the reason they end up winning the Super Bowl. I don't think it was a fair analysis anyway, but it would be really funny to watch everybody say that, Pad Stafford and the dude that can't stop throwing interceptions didn't throw an interception all of the playoffs. He can't win in the playoffs, ends up going 4-3 in the playoffs. Would be very, very fun. Would be awesome. But that is going to do it for me. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, like the video. Be sure to subscribe. Tell your friends about the channel. And I'll see you guys very soon. I'll be recording the Rams and 49ers preview on Downtown Rams with Alexis Kraft, and then I'll have her on tomorrow in a live format. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight, or joining me today. Yeah, it's 5:04 Eastern time. So, appreciate you guys. Sorry if I'm annoying you at this point. I'm on every show, but I don't know. I keep getting asked, and I have a rule. I don't turn down shows. So if anybody is interested in getting me on a show, I'll try and make it work. It may not be this week. I am so booked, and I'm exhausted and I'm worn down, but we're going to continue to pump out the content. This is the biggest game, I think, of, this is honestly as big as it gets, to be real with you, for an NFC title game. To me, this is bigger than the Saints game. This is massive. We're talking about two bitter rivals against each other. Rams trying to get revenge. The fans, the difference there. And, that whole Levi South thing that people keep saying, if the Rams win, then, it doesn't really matter. So I'll say this, parting thoughts. I don't think the attendance is going to have any effect on the game. The Rams are 8-2 on the road. They're used to playing with a silent count. So if they're going to be ready for this, I don't feel like last time they were. They even said they weren't. So, I think that's what's going to happen. But hopefully we're right. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow. You'll also hear the Downtown Rams podcast as well. Be sure to hit the bell notification as well. I'm dying over here. Be sure to hit the bell notification as well to get all new videos pushed to your phone as notifications if you want. That's going to do it for me. So you guys take care. Enjoy your Friday. We'll be back tomorrow. Later.